Okay, so welcome back, Elaine, to the Zoom room for the first Art of Letting Go session of many, hopefully, this year, 2025. Happy New Year. So to make it a very happy flowing one, we're going to talk about principle of flow. What is that? How does that work? How do we get into flow today? And we'll do some practice with our course lesson for the day to actually get into flow and experience that. All right, so let me share my screen with you. Okay, so let's go for it, shall we? So if you can read that headline quote from Echart Tolle, it's a bit big for you.
Artistic creation, sports, dance, teaching, counselling, mastery in any field of endeavour implies that the thinking mind is either no longer involved at all, or at least is taking second place. A power and intelligence greater than you and yet one with you in essence takes over. There is no decision-making process anymore. Spontaneous right action happens, and you are not doing it. Mastery of life is the opposite of control. You become aligned with the greater consciousness. It acts, speaks, does the works.
Yeah, so great quote. Probably the best quote I think I've ever read in terms of describing the flow state and process and how it actually feels. It was very, very descriptive, uncannily so, of an experience I had in my 20s when I was playing professional squash. And I think I might have shared this story, but I'll go into it again because it was I think my first real experience of something like this happening. I was playing a match against a chap in the local league, and he was in the opposite. He was my opposite number in another team in the same club. So there were essentially two teams in the same league from the same club, if you get it. So I was playing him. It was like a local, so the two teams playing each other. And I'd lost to him previously. He was older than me. He was in his late 30s at the time. I was young, up and coming, just turned pro, 20 something. But I was putting a lot of psychological pressure on myself to win. It's like, well, no, I've turned pro and I need to beat people who are not pro. Because that justifies why I'm a pro. But obviously, squash doesn't, any game doesn't work on paper. The guy was still, he'd been a top player in his time, although he was past that, he was still very useful. He was in his late 30s and still a good player. So I put all this pressure on myself, and I played really uncreative, poor squash in the first match. I played him in the club champs and lost 3-love. Just felt really frustrated with myself and my performance, and now I was playing, in front of everyone, and all the guys at the club are going to be there. There's an audience of 20, 30 people watching, and I remember during the day it was a lot of worry, a lot of fear, like, oh, what happens if I lose? It's like your whole ego identity of being that pro squash player is at stake, and the fear that arose was, was quite intense. But telling him, he said, "Look, you just need to relax." So I went for a walk in the late afternoon. It was an evening match. We went for a walk. We walked the dog. I walked the dog with my sister. It was quite a nice afternoon, bit of sun, and I just managed to kind of let go of the worry and just kind of get into the moment. And my sister, I remember, said, "Just just relax and enjoy it. You just play your game." And so something in me just said, "Okay, I have to go there and just not think. I'm not going to think about my performance and my strategy and how I'm going to do this." And I don't know what was inspiring me to do that. Obviously, I do know now, as it was the Holy Spirit. But somehow I managed to just kind of blank my mind. And whenever sort of a worry thought, oh, you need to plan your strategy, you need to visualize, you need to try and control essentially your performance with your mind. There was a part of another part was just no, just it's fine. Just let it go. Don't think. And it was kind of a struggle because I was playing last. So it was several hours. I think I only got on court at about 9 o'clock at night, and the fixture started at about 6:30. So it was 2 to 3 hours of like, okay, I have to manage my mind and really let go, which is part of the process, I suppose. But I did that quite successfully for that time, and then I got on court, and it was just amazing. Just like this, exactly what he's saying here: power and intelligence greater than you, and it with one with you in essence takes over. There is no decision-making process anymore. It just happens. Spontaneous right action happens, and you are not doing it. And I really felt that very strongly. I wasn't doing it. It just happened through me. It was a weird feeling. And I was playing, but I wasn't really consciously playing. I wasn't trying. It was just happening to me, through me. But happening effortlessly. It just happened really well. Everything I did worked. I made one or two mistakes in the whole match, but it didn't bother me at all. I was just so well, there's no like, oh, made a mistake. It didn't break my flow. And I just played amazingly. It was just free. It was creative. The guy didn't know what had hit him. He was like, "Whoa, like where did that come from?" I played you a couple of months ago or whenever it was, and there was nothing like that. He was well on top, and this time, I just destroyed him because I was in flow, and he couldn't cope with that. And so it was an interesting to see that the really the total difference in performance. I wasn't I wasn't fitter, stronger. 2 months, isn't much time to have done any real development work. But it was just a change of state and, totally different mindset, totally different performance, and really, a mastery of life by letting go of control. It did it for me. This awareness, this consciousness, just played for me, and I was being played. And it's then I really understood because I started to get into some sporting books and sporting psychology. Then I was okay, that was the flow. Then afterwards I was okay. So what was that experience about? And I learned more about it, and then subsequently in my spiritual studies, this concept of flow has come in, and now I understand it a lot better than I did then. But that was probably in many ways an opening into spiritual path. It happened on the squash court because I touched something else. There was something transcendent about that experience that was amazing, miraculous. I was like, wow, that feeling is that was incredible. I'd like to live in that state all the time. And afterwards, I felt liberated. I felt the fear had dropped away. I felt joy in my heart. My whole energy had changed. I remember going home, spoke to my sister, and she said, "Wow, I can tell you've just shifted. It's just a change. You're different from how you were a few hours ago when we went for the walk." Because I'd had this liberating experience on the squash court, and that was really what it was about. It wasn't actually about the results. That was incidental. So yeah, I won. It was about the experience and the liberation from fear.
Mm.
and it was a real breakthrough in my life, because I never went back into that same level of contraction and fear about my performance. And it lasted for months after that. In fact,
That's like
probably for my whole year. But I felt like, you know what, I can just let go and I can just flow.
that's like
And
an
it's
awakening. You've had an
yeah,
awakening
it was a
experience. Yeah.
moment of awakening, or satori as they call it
Mm.
in the East. The
Mm.
Japanese call it satori on the squash court. So these experiences can happen, you know, at any time. I prepared myself for it. You know, I'd actually done several hours of letting go to prepare myself for that. I didn't know that at the time. Just, you know, felt that was, you know, right. That's what I should do. But it was a bit of a struggle. You know, I had to really like work quite hard to let go of the thinking mind and not try and control that performance.
Mm.
Because up to that point, I've been like, no, 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 you know, no, my mind needs to know. I've got to have my strategy. I've got to think about it. I've got to visualize it. I was doing, you know, mental rehearsal, all of this, but all of control. I
Mm.
was trying to control it because of my fear that
Mm.
I wouldn't perform well. So, okay, well, you know, I was going to use my mind to control this, and and then the ego was telling me this, you know, this will go well. You'll play well. I'll sort it out for you. And of course, it didn't. I played terribly. Because you don't play well when when you're feeling fearful and you're really trying to, you know, control everything. It's
Mm.
a spontaneous creative process,
Mm.
especially like a ball sport like that. It's completely, you know, you can't rehearse it because you don't know what's coming next, right? Every moment is spontaneous and creative. Okay, the guy hits the ball and then the ball's there. Well, you can't rehearse that. You've just got to, you know, play it in the moment. It just happens. So you've really got to tap into the flow. And that's what I did, probably more so than at any other point in my life, in a way. It was just a totally flowing, being done through. I really understand when David Hoffmeister says you're done through. That was exactly what it felt like. I'm not really playing here. It's just happening through me, and I'm aware of it. There was this higher awareness that, oh wow, look at what's happening. And it, almost like I wasn't doing it, although you know what was happening through me. There was the observer, the that awareness was very much there. That was able to observe it and be aware of what was happening without really getting too involved in it. So it was a weird sort of mix. I was really playing well and involved in it, but at the same time there was this awareness of like, oh, this is interesting. What's happening here? And I was able to watch it all, almost like a you know a third person, just like watching this body perform. And that's all, you know, these are the kinds of experiences that happen in spiritual awakening. So that's what it was. It was certainly a spiritually awakening experience and a precursor, I think, to much of what unfolded over the last 30 years. That was, yeah, about 30 years ago now. So a lot of learning, a lot of growth has happened, and that was almost a catalyst for it. Would I be doing what I'm doing now if that experience hadn't happened? I don't know. Who knows? You know, it
Mm.
certainly opened me up to something bigger, and I got curious, and I was like, okay, well, what is that? And then I started to learn about, you know, sports psychology and flow, and that prepared me for a few years later to really start going more deeply into spirituality. I read in the same decade, I read Power of Now, and then started getting into books by Neil Donald Walsh, the Conversations with God series, and Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East, and the Urantia book, and you know many others, which prepared me eventually for the course, which came in 2006. So it's all part of, you know, that all part of the at-one-ment process, my individual curriculum for at-one-ment, and that was part of it. So Eckhart Tolle beautifully describes this concept, which has come to be called flow in modern psychology after the term was coined and popularized by a guy called Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, who wrote several books about it, Hungarian-American psychologist in the 70s and 80s. Flow isn't anything new. It's not a new concept. It's been around for thousands of years. He just coined it as a term that then came into modern psychological use. So that was really his contribution. Previously in other traditions like Taoism is very big on flow. They call it Wu Wei. Well, obviously that's Chinese. That's not going to work in English. Flow, Wu Wei, and there's other names for it. Intuition, synchronicity is what Carl Jung called it. That's another psychological term to describe the state. In sport, they call it being in the zone. So it's the mental state in which a person performing some activity. So it's usually associated with action. Some activity is going on rather than just passively sitting. That would be called a meditation. So there's an activity going on, whatever that might be. In my case, in this instance, it was squash, but it could be any activity. It could be a sport. That's often where it happens. It could be dancing. It could be you're speaking. You're in a business meeting, and so on. Endless opportunities, because we're quite active in this world. There's a lot of activity that goes on. Every activity is a chance to enter flow. So it's the mental state in which a person performing some activity is fully immersed in the activity and experience a feeling of energized focus, full involvement, and enjoyment of the process of the activity. Right? So energized focus. I'm feeling alive. I'm feeling energized by this. I'm focused on it. My attention is in the present moment. I think that's a key point of flow. I'm fully there, full involvement, full engagement, even though there's a sense of an awareness that's watching it. It was weird, but I was still fully involved. It was difficult to describe and make sense of. It just sort of happened. I was like, yeah, I'm engaged in this and it's happening through me beautifully, but I'm also able to just be aware that it's happening. So there was that element of higher awareness came into it as well. And then an enjoyment of the process. It was really, the process itself was fulfilling, was enjoyable. I could have done that all night. It was like, I'm really enjoying the process. It's a pity the match had to stop because I'd won in it only took half an hour or something, because I was playing that well. But I could have easily played for another hour because it was just so enjoyable. And it wasn't really about the outcome. It wasn't like, oh, I just need to get the process over with so that I can get the result in the bag and then, I can relax. It was like, no, I'm just, I'm in joy. I'm in the joy of the moment. And that moment by moment could just carry on. And there was no sense of time. It's a sort of timeless state. So it's characterized by the complete absorption in what you're doing without any attention being placed on the outcome, and a resulting transformation in one's sense of time and self-concept, as Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi eloquently states in this quote. So it's when we act freely for the sake of the action itself, rather than for ulterior motives, that we learn to become more than what we were. Do you want to read that, actually? It's worth reading again, just thinking about
it. It is when we act freely for the sake of the action itself, rather than for the ulterior motives, that we learn to become more than what we were.
Yeah. So what's he saying there?
Well, while we're in this action and we're doing it freely, then that's where we get our joy, that this experience of feeling at one. And whereas if we've got doing the action for a ulterior motive, then it's losing that joy.
Yeah. So that ulterior motive is the ego wanting something out of it that's not present. So okay, I'm doing this because I want to get this outcome. I want to get this result. I want this experience. I want to acquire something material. Maybe it's money or possession. Maybe it's a boost of my status. It's self. An ulterior motive is always about the separate self. Yeah, separate self saying I want or I need this, and doing this is going to get me what I think I want or need. And that passes for traditional motivation. Yeah. motivation, the ulterior motivations of the ego, our separate self, in traditional, motivational psychology, are what people say you should do. The SMART formula for goals needs to be specific and measurable and attainable and realistic and time-bound. But it's all ulterior. So, well, I want to do this action because I have this goal. I want to achieve this. That's an ulterior motive, isn't it? I have an outcome that I have in mind. So it doesn't follow that at all. It's really just saying, for the sake of the action itself, I do it. Why did I play squash that night? I thought it was because I wanted to win, but when I was actually doing it, it was about the process itself. I just really was probably the most enjoyable game of squash I'd ever had up to that point in my life. It's like I could just carry on doing this all night. It's not really about the results, it's about the process of it. And then when we do that, we learn to become more than what we were. That's the second very, very significant part of that quote. We learn to become more than what we were by surrendering in this way. This is the process of surrendering our ego-based thoughts and motives. Saying, okay, I'm going to let go of those. There's a letting go, isn't there? Act freely for the sake of the action itself rather than for ulterior motives. Well, you have to then let go of the ulterior motives in that moment, don't you? So there's a letting go that's inherent then in this process of flow. And when we do that, we learn to become more than what we thought we were. We wanted to expand that quote. What we thought we were. We thought we were this person that needed stuff to happen, and that these ulterior motives were real, that they had meaning and purpose, and if we pursued these motives, we would find some kind of happiness and satisfaction. That was the separate self speaking. When we let go of that, we find, hang on, maybe I'm not that limited separate self with all these ulterior motives. Maybe I just am the pure awareness that is experiencing the joy of this experience in the moment without an ulterior motive. So it connects us with who we really are, that doesn't have ulterior motives. It's able just to be free and happy and surrendered in the moment. Now you see the photo I chose, there's no ulterior motive. The mother and the daughter are not going, oh, I think we should do this because we want to nurture our relationship, because we want to bond more, because, the book I'm reading says this is a good thing to do. You can see this feels natural, it's spontaneous. They're playing. There's no ulterior motive other than the joy of the moment. And kids are great for that because they connect us with that. It's like, okay, well, because I don't have all those ulterior motives often. They just, okay, I just want to play because I want to have fun and just be in the moment.
Same with animals, if you're with a puppy or a pet. Yeah, same thing, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same energy of no ulterior motives. They're just innocent and they're just enjoying the moment. They want to play with you, and they're not thinking, I want to play with you because I want something from you. I mean, dogs do. They also have ulterior motives. They want food a lot of the time, but in its purest state, they just want to play. Yeah, if they want to play, they just want to play.
Yes.
They're not wanting a treat. They're not wanting anything else other than just to be in the moment and to play with you or another dog. And there's a pure, what that does to us is it connects us with a part of ourselves that we have often denied. The true self, the Christ self, that knows who it is. It knows that we are just this pure awareness, and that our only job really in this world is to stay in that awareness and experience the love and the peace and the joy that come naturally with that awareness. That's really all we're here to do. And all the ulterior motives don't really mean anything. Nothing I see means anything. Go back to course lesson 1. So flow is really where the rubber meets the road of this whole practice. Because most of the time you're not going to be in a revelatory state. So let's look at this in a diagram, the Holy Trinity diagram again. Most of the time you're not going to be here. It's quite an unusual state to go into into revelation. Sorry, I didn't like that. Let's go back, scroll down. So this is occasionally you might go there in meditation, or you might have a so-called mystic experience where you go into a state of pure awareness. The world disappears. There's just light, and people do have these experiences, so it can happen, but it's unusual, and it's probably not going to be your normal default experience. If you have one or two of these in a lifetime, that's more than a lot of people have. So that's not a realistic goal to stay in. I mean, even Yeshua says it's not, to stay in this rarefied state is so unusual. It shouldn't be considered a realistic goal that you're going to stay in that state all the time. It's like when you're ready, you'll get there, and that will happen in time. But in the meantime, your job is here to let go of the ego's interpretations of the world and go into Christ's vision or true perception, which is miracles, which is flow. I must put flow in here. I thought I had it, but the flow would very much be here. Miracles, flow, corrections. It's much more of you living in the world, but you're not of the world. You're in the world, but you're not of the world, because you are able to connect with your higher self, which is connect with pure formless awareness of perfect love, and let that true or higher self interpret all the experiences for you. And that is what this process is all about. And whatever you call it, whether you call it awakening, or you call it flow, or you call it miracles, or you call it letting go, or you call it transformation or healing, it's the same process. And we've seen that inherent in flow is the ability to let go of your ulterior motives. So you have to enter the flow, have let go of your attachment to this world of time and space, the ulterior motives of the ego, in order to enter it. So there's a big component of letting go, which then takes you back in via the Holy Spirit, remembrance of perfect love, takes you back into the true self, or the Christ mind, which you then identify with more fully because you have let go of that block to flow. So whether you call it a block to the awareness of love's presence, or you call it a block in your flow, or you out of the zone, it doesn't really matter, does it? It's the same thing. All of these descriptions describe the same problem and the same solution. And when we understand that, then we go, okay, I'm starting to understand this. And whether I look at this in a religious context, I can look at religions like Taoism and Christianity and Buddhism, and I can get guidance from them in this context. Or whether I look at it in a sporting context, okay, well, it's about letting go of your fear, as I did that night, letting go of your fear and all of the desire for an outcome, and just dropping all the expectations, all the ulterior motives, and surrendering into a higher awareness, which out of which then the performance comes. So that's another way of looking at it from a sporting context. Or you could look at it in psychological terms. It's okay, well, in psychological terms, we can call this the flow. We can talk about that it's a letting go of desire and fear. We could go into the map of consciousness and say, well, when does flow happen? Flow happens when you let go of the lower emotions: pride, anger, desire, fear, grief, apathy, guilt, and shame. You let go of all that, and you're willing to allow yourself to let yourself go into these higher states and just be guided and experience that. So it's inherent in these psychological models we use. It's inherent in religions. It's inherent in all spirituality. It's the essence of what we're studying, really. The miracles, Course in Miracles, could be renamed A Course in Flow, because the miracle is the flow of spirit into this world via you, the miracle work. Okay, so let's go back to the quote, back to the lesson. So If that all sounds very familiar, it's because it should be by now, because we've been studying this. We've been studying exactly how to learn to become more than what we thought we were. That's what the course is about. The mind training lessons from the workbook are all designed to help you to learn that you are more than you thought you were. This is the same state that Yeshua calls right-mindedness or miracle-mindedness in A Course in Miracles. And he also says that miracles are the only device you have at your disposal for controlling time, in this quote from section 1 of chapter 1 of the text, which is the first section of the text titled Principles of Miracles. Okay, so then read the quote.
The miracle is a learning device that lessens the need for time. It establishes an out-of-pattern time interval, not under the usual laws of time. In this sense, it is timeless. The miracle is the only device at your immediate disposal for controlling time. Only revelation transcends it, having nothing to do with time at all.
Okay, so thoughts on that?
Well, it's just saying about time, and once we can transcend our usual patterns, then there's nothing, time no longer exists.
So we look at it here, again, in this context of the stone. It's helpful to have a diagram that shows you the levels. Now, when he's talking about revelation, revelation is here. Revelation transcends time entirely. Revelation takes you into pure formless awareness of perfect love. So it's timeless, it's eternal, it has nothing to do with what happens in time. Whereas miracles are about events happening. Things are still happening in time. You're still perceiving the people, things, places, events, circumstances, situations, and everything that they entail. Traumas, successes, failures, and all the experiences that seem to exist and happen in the physical universe of time and space happen over time. So you're still dealing with time when you're in this domain. But by perceiving miraculously, you are letting go of time rather than reinforcing time and perpetuating. You're letting go of it and going into a timeless state of awareness. Pure formless awareness of perfect love is timeless because it's eternal. There's only that awareness and nothing else. What happens here in time is just an illusion, but we need to work within that construct for a while in order to let go of our illusions, to awaken to our true self, to prepare our minds for the coming of this pure formless awareness of perfect love. It's a process to go back, journey back to pure formless awareness of perfect love. Okay, does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Any comments or questions on any of this? So just to wrap it up, flow is really just a new name for a very ancient concept that the Chinese spiritual master Lao Tzu noticed, and he called it Wu Wei in the spiritual classic Tao Te Ching, also known as the Tao, the D, so they say the T's now as D's, Tao Te Ching as it has come to be known in modern times, which you can download over there if you want. Just click that link and you'll get it. Beautiful, wonderful book, classic book, just lovely, poetic, very, very poetic. Short. Also, what I like about it is it's in kind of sutra form. So Tao Te Ching dates back to 400 BCE, before Christ. Supposedly written by Lao Tzu or Lao Zi, and is really the philosophical and religious foundation of Taoism, which is the religion that was birthed out of this teaching by Lao Tzu. So there you go, Dao De Jing. So yeah, just read maybe the first little sutra of it, number 1 there.
The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name,
Dao, it's pronounced Dao.
Tao.
Dao, yeah.
Yeah. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. Unnameable is the essence. Naming is the beginning of 10,000 particular things. Named are the manifestation. Nameless is the mystery.
Yeah, so that's stating the obvious difference between duality, time, space, what can be named, and this other reality, which it calls the mystery. As soon as you name things, you have the beginning of 10,000 particular things. In fact, millions, billions of particular things. Oh, this is this and this is that. And they all have a seemingly separate identity because we can name them. Whereas actually, the truth is that the mystery, the unknown, true reality, whatever you want to call it, is nameless. God is completely nameless, formless, timeless, universal, beyond what the intellectual mind can grasp, beyond what we can say, oh, there it is. Now we have some specific form that we can call the Tao. So it's the Tao is God. The Tao is pure formless awareness of perfect love, which would exist here. Yeah, and I'll see if I can fit it in. Source, Brahman, knowledge, spirit, reality, Tao. The Tao would sit there as well. It's short, pretty short, so I'll try adding it in. So that you can see that, whichever religion, whichever terminology you use, they're really talking about the same thing, the same concepts. And then you start to see that it all merges into one simple truth. Okay, does that make sense? So let's carry on. So yeah, highly recommend download it, read it. It's only take you an hour or two to read it. It's the kind of book you can read in parts. This is the kind of book you wouldn't necessarily read straight away and just go, okay, I'll read in one sitting. You might pick it up and say every day read a paragraph. So you make that your first day and you read it and contemplate on it.
Yeah.
And just sort of when you dwell on truth, then awareness comes. So I invite you to, go and explore that. All right. You can download the ebook. You can also listen to or watch a discussion about the idea of flow. If you want to go deeper into it, we've discussed it in some detail, but if you want another take on it, I talked particularly about how it relates to miracles. So the flow, the internal connection to one's source, demonstrated in probably the integral model is the best one to look at. The flow starts internally in your subjective self. And then from that state of mind, thoughts, emotions, memories, states of mind, perceptions, all concretize into the objective world of the material body. And so then the body acts, the body speaks, the body acts under the guidance of the mind. And then you get tangible, manifest results in time and space. And what this first passage of the Tao Te Ching is saying is that don't mix these quadrants up. What happens here is not the same as the external. So the interior and the exterior worlds um, are different, and at the highest level, we realize that the subjective interior is where we want to be. It's really all about our thoughts and our emotions and going deeper into those to uncover the truth of our higher awareness. When we do that, we raise ourselves up in these contour lines, and then what naturally starts to manifest, maybe we take some action in the body, but then it will be inspired action. What comes then is a higher frequency of energy that then creates a different kind of manifestation. Does that make sense? So the more you change internally, you go higher, and then naturally it reflects, and you start seeing changes in your circumstances. Rather than trying to grind your way and say, right, I've got to force myself up the ladder. It's just a shift in perspective. Okay, so that's some of the stuff that you can go into in more detail by listening to or watching that session. All right, so where are we? Let's have a look at today's lesson. And the insert. So we have a look at the insert. It's the last time we're doing the insert. So we'll just look at it. Once again, so okay, so this one is the Last Judgment. So let's read. If you want to finish by 4, Elaine. So let's read the summary then. We'll do the summary, and then we'll go into the lesson, then we'll do a meditation. That should take us up to about 4 o'clock.
That's great.
Okay, so the summary of this section, if you want to read that.
Are we doing paragraph each?
Yeah, we can do if you like.
Okay. The second coming of my true self reveals that what is false, and what is true remains unchanged. With this realization, perception ends, replaced by innocent vision, until it too fades, as its purpose is fulfilled. Then I will perceive the world as unreal, without sin, purpose, or function, and it will dissolve into nothingness along with its dreamlike figures. Just talking about the second coming and the true self, just explaining that what is false, and what's true never changes. And so with this realization, it's replaced with innocence until it fades into its purpose. So we'll see the world as unreal without sin.
So again, we're here. If we look, it's always useful to refer to these diagrams. So you know where you are in the process. We're not at revelation. We're in time in this awakening process. And I think I've included the terms here, the Last Judgment. I'll do that as well. Flow, I must include the Last Judgment and the term flow. But the second coming, the Last Judgment, it's all part of this process of letting go of our self-concept that attaches us to the physical material world of time and space, and raising our awareness up into the true self, the Christ, that knows that it's not bound by time and space, that knows that it's not just a separate individual person living in time and space. And so all of these terms are just teaching aids to teach us the truth of who we are. We're learning this through the second coming, through the last judgment. So then he goes on and says, perfect love's last judgment is not condemning, but corrective, freeing me from all errors and their effects. So as I make this last judgment on the world, that the world is unreal, the second coming of my true self happens. The two are the same. They're just different sides of the same coin. As I judge the world as unreal, which is the last judgment, so my true self reveals itself, and that's what he calls the second coming. It brings release from suffering, restoring me to peace, happiness, and union with my true identity. So fearing this judgment is merely resisting complete liberation. Okay, so thoughts on that? Second paragraph.
Just talking about the last judgment, perfect love's last judgment is not condemning, it's corrective. It frees us from errors and brings release from suffering, peace and happiness. So fearing this judgment is merely resisting complete liberation.
So the last judgment in traditional Christianity is quite fearful. It's associated with the end of the world, with some kind of last judgment where God judges some as sinners, condemns them to hell, and they'll burn in hell forever, and then the righteous go to heaven. This is the way, traditional Christianity frames it. And so it's quite a fearful concept. Oh, well, great if I'm one of the chosen ones, but what happens if I get condemned to hell? And I end up, burning in hell forever. Very, very scary, fearful idea if you believe it, of course. It's all just belief. But people do believe it, and then the last judgment would be a very fearful concept. So he's saying fearing this judgment is merely resisting complete liberation. There's nothing to fear. This will bring you peace, happiness, union with your true identity. Everything you really want will come from the last judgment if you really understand what it is and you follow it. Okay, so happy with number 2. Then the next one, this final judgment is entirely loving. If you can read that one.
This final judgment is entirely loving, guiding me back to eternal peace shared with perfect love. It heals all sorrow, erases all pain, and gently awakens me and everyone to our one true self. I am not afraid of love or its awakening. Instead, I am asked to welcome it, for my acceptance will help set the world free. Just again talking about the final judgment, and it's totally loving, guiding us to peace, healing us from our pains and suffering, and it's asking us not to be afraid of this love or its awakening, but instead let's welcome it and accept it, because then it'll also set the world free.
Yeah. So I welcome this process of the last judgment. Change that, this last judgment. So it's the last judgment on the ego and on the world, and saying, okay, I'm done. And I'm willing to let this all go. I'm willing to see that it doesn't mean anything. It's all meaningless and it's pointless and it's purposeless. And I can let it all go and can free myself from everything that it entails. That's the last judgment. So it's entirely loving. It just guides you back to pure formless awareness of perfect love, as we can see in this diagram. It takes you out of the box, the red box of the ego, all the people, things, and places, and events, and circumstances, and situations, and traumas, and successes, and failures, and all the experiences that seem to happen in time and space that honestly your self-concept's very attached to. Our self-concept is totally wedded to these, believes in them, is attached to them, and suffers greatly because of them, if we're really honest about it. So this is the last judgment. The second coming is about freeing ourselves from those attachments, judging the world as it really is. Okay, this is just an illusion. This is unreality. None of it really means anything. Then the second coming of Christ, our true self arises more and more in our mind. As that strengthens, we start getting glimpses of this pure formless awareness of perfect love that underlie it. And the more that happens, the closer we get to this awareness, until eventually we're ready just to let go of the body and all of its sense perceptions and the world, and surrender back into this awareness. Okay, so let's carry on with paragraph 4. I'll read that. So perfect love's judgment declares, "You are still my innocent and loving extension, forever limitless, changeless, and innocent. Return to me, for I am your source, and you are my extension." This truth invites me to accept awakening fully, freeing me and everyone from our illusions of being separate selves through perfect love's limitless grace. Okay, so what's he saying in that one?
Just saying the perfect love's just saying the judgment is saying that we are still innocent in his loving extension. We're limitless, changeless, and once we return to him, the source, then we'll be his extension and we'll get all these, our natural gifts, our inheritance, our...
You see where the diagram comes from. This is reminding us of our true self, the Christ self of who we really are, which knows pure formless awareness of perfect love and knows that that's its ultimate reality, but can also now perceive and reinterpret the world from the perspective of this higher awareness. So very, very useful temporary self-concept to have. It's not going to last forever, because pure formless awareness of perfect love will ultimately just become your one reality. You won't need a true self or the Holy Spirit being the remembrance of perfect love, because you'll just be in perfect love. You will be love. You will be one with this presence we call pure formless awareness of perfect love. You will be that pure formless awareness of perfect love and nothing else. Okay, does that make sense?
Does.
All right. And then the key message, just to summarize it all, if you can read that, summarize in your own words.
I'll read it first, yeah. The second coming reveals that the truth is unchanged and frees me from all falsehood. Perfect love's last judgment corrects all errors, releasing me to peace, happiness, and my true identity. I welcome love's awakening, which heals and restores me to the awareness that I am innocent, limitless extension of my source, and sets everyone free to understand this same truth in the process. So it's just saying the second coming will reveal the truth and frees us from all falsehood. And the perfect love's last judgment will correct all errors and release us to peace, happiness, and to our true identity.
Yeah, so it's this Christ or true self is what forgives or lets go of the world, makes the last judgment. The second coming is the rising of this awareness in our minds. We identify with it. The more we identify with it, the closer we get to pure formless awareness of perfect love. And then this process, this step, he doesn't say very much about. All he says in the course is that God will take the last step. So this awareness will take the last step, and just how I interpret that is you just merge back into it. You just surrender everything else and you just merge back into it. And it just kind of happens when you're ready. and revelation is a glimpse of this. You go into this and you might stay there for a while, but that's not going to be a permanent state. It's very unusual that people stay in this state for very long. So you come back into the world and then you face the world as the true self or the Christ, which helps you to take this awareness. You're still connected to this awareness, but you can now take this awareness and use it to reinterpret the world and translate all of these sense perceptions, everything that goes on, all experiences in time and space into the higher self, into a true perception coming from the higher self that reinforces the higher self and ultimately takes you back to pure formless awareness of perfect love. So it's a very simple process. What this is describing is this diagram. Okay, so happy with that. That's the last time we'll do the last judgment for this round of the course, so for another year. But it's not saying anything that we don't know already. It's just what he does is he just uses the term as another way of teaching us and saying, okay, so what's the last judgment? Let's reinterpret it. Remember, there's a whole lot of misinterpretation around these terms, like the second coming, the last judgment. So he reinterprets it for us and helps us understand it within the framework of the course's teaching. All right. So let's go to the lesson, shall we? Shall we read today's lesson? 320 we're on to. So I'll read the original, you read the alternative, and then we'll go from the key idea to the paragraph below that. So my Father gives all power unto me is the original. You
My
can read the
source,
alternative later.
my source gives me unlimited power.
So yeah, just another way of framing it, of saying it. Father is the source. And that's quite powerful. I was meditating on that last night and just really connecting with the power. It gives me unlimited power. There's no limit to what it can do. That's why there's no order of difficulty in miracles. So whatever the problem is, there is a solution that will come in and through this power from source. So how does that process work? Well, again, let's go to the diagram. It comes through the true self. The true self now perceives the world and all experiences in the world, but it's perceiving it from the source's perspective as one singular awareness. Okay, so let's go to the first paragraph. I'll read the original, read the alternative sentence by sentence. So the Son of God, limitless.
The extension of perfect love is limitless.
There are no limits on his strength, his peace, his joy, nor any attributes his Father gave in his creation.
There are no limits on my strength, peace, joy, or any attributes my source gave in my extension.
What he wills with his Creator and Redeemer must be done.
What I choose with my source and awakener must be done.
His holy will can never be denied because his Father shines upon his mind and lays before it all the strength and love in earth and heaven.
My holy innocent awareness can never be denied because my source radiates in my mind and gives it all the strength and love on earth and in this state of pure formless awareness.
I am he to whom all this is given.
I am the one to whom all this is given.
I am he in whom the power of my Father's will abides.
I am the one in whom the power of my source awareness lives. And from the top, the extension of perfect love is limitless. There are no limits on my strength, peace, joy, or any attributes my source gave in my extension. What I choose as my source and awakener must be done. My holy innocent awareness can never be denied because my source radiates in my mind and gives it all the strength and love on earth and in the state of pure formless awareness. I am the one to whom all this is given. I am the one in whom the power of my source's awareness lives. So it's just saying that the extension of perfect love is limitless, and we have the same attributes as the source, our source, which is strength and peace and joy. There's no limits. And we choose with our source and awakener must be done. What I choose as my source and awakener must be done, yeah. So it's given to all and with strength and love on the earth, but in this state of pure formless awareness. And we are the one, or I am the one that's given, and the one in whom the power of my source's awareness lives.
Yeah. Lovely. It's asking us to just recognize our true power. And we have this inside of us. We're an extension of perfect love. We all have all the strength and the love and the light in us, and it's just to let it come through and let us ourselves experience strength, peace, joy, love in the face often of what's challenging. You know, this world isn't easy, but these qualities will help us to live in it in a state of higher awareness, in a state that is as happy as possible, given that it's the denial of love. And these short lessons in section 2 of the workbook are just really affirmations, aren't they? They're just helping us to claim it and say, okay, you know, say it over and over again. Each one is you claiming this awareness and saying, this is who I am. This is what I am. This is what I want. This is what I choose. And I'm doing it over and over and over again, just to remind myself that, you know, this is who I am, because we've forgotten who we are. So we need a lot of reminding. Okay, so next one is just a short prayer. Your will can do all things in me and then extend to all the world as well through me.
Your awareness can do all things in me and then extend to every sentient being through me as well.
There is no limit on your will.
There is no limit on your awareness.
And so all power has been given to
And so,
your son.
oh yeah. And so all power has been given to me, your extension. And from the top, your awareness can do all things in me and then extend to every sentient being through me as well. There is no limit on your awareness. And so all power has been given to me, your extension.
So the key translation there is will becomes awareness. Your will can do all things in me. I think the problem with will is it sort of seems to really take it into action, doesn't it?
Mm.
Can do all things in me. There is no limit on your will. So whereas awareness takes it into the transcendent dimension, connects us with who we really are as the true self and this pure formless awareness, which is just pure awareness. And it's not so much about doing, although that awareness can inspire us to do, that's for sure. That awareness can interpret what's happening in time and space, and it can inspire us, shown here on the timeline, might be a better view of it. Whatever the circumstances, we can reinterpret it. We can get guidance from this higher awareness, and then on the downward arrow, it can guide us as to what to say and do. And that then changes our decisions and our actions, and our life flows forward under guidance of the Holy Spirit. That's how it works. Now it gets translated. So the idea of awareness is that it connects us directly with this awareness, which you could call God's will, but awareness is a bigger, more expansive concept. So that's why we translate it. So all power has been given to me, your extension. Why? Because we have that awareness already. In this awareness is all power. We have this awareness already. We're not separate from that awareness. Okay. So any other thoughts on that lesson?
No, that's clear. That's good.
Yeah, very simple. These lessons aren't difficult. They aren't complicated. They're very simple pointers to the truth, which is what they're designed to do, just to point us into an awareness of this truth through simple, one very short sentence and then a couple of paragraphs. Very, very short and brief. But he's saying, well, we've done a lot of the mind training now. We're nearing the end of this course. You should be in a state now where this is enough. You can just remind yourself that my source gives me unlimited power, and
Mm.
then you can connect with that power and you can feel that power.
Mm.
And that's what the lesson's designed to do. Okay, I can feel that, I can experience it, even if it's only for a few seconds. I've
Mm.
connected with that power, and then I've practiced the lesson. And the lesson has served its purpose to remind me of the power to which it points. You could study this endlessly, and you could, phrase and rephrase, and you could repeat these words. But if you didn't access the power and you didn't have that experience, you're kind of missing the point, aren't you?
Mm.
So another invitation to claim that unlimited power again. I had it after my experience that I mentioned of watching the Green Mile. I just did a meditation and really felt that power very, very strongly. And that's often what happens when you really let go,
Mm-hmm.
like a deeper connection. This unlimited power comes, and then the feeling was, well, it doesn't matter what the darkness and what the obstacles in the world are. This power transcends it. This power overcomes it all. So I don't really need to be concerned about this.
Mm.
Okay. So, shall we just do a meditation for 20 minutes to finish it
Yeah,
off?
yeah, that would be good. Thank you.
Just really try and access that power. Open yourself to the power, which is just a pure experience. So let the words just guide you into this experience of an unlimited power that then must come from your source if it's unlimited, and just be vigilant for ego thoughts that want to block that power. Anything that's talking about time and space and form, and worries about past or the future, regrets about the past, worries about the future, is a limitation on that power, isn't it? So as I
Yes.
watch those thoughts, they come in, you let it go, and you remind yourself, well, my source gives me so these aren't really a problem. If I have unlimited power, then that power can deal with anything. It's not a problem. And then you can go into this surrendered, unworried state where it's like, well, this power is going to sort it out. I don't know how exactly, don't know how it's all going to play out, but I'm just going to trust that process.
Mm.
Mm. All right.
Good. Mm-hmm.
Let's do the med then.
Great. I shall get in a nice spot.
Okay, so this is a meditation. On today's lesson, 320, just make yourself comfortable, sitting, your feet shoulder width apart, your back straight, cup your hands in your lap, close your eyes. And start off with a nice deep breath in through the nose. You're breathing in, pulling up the stomach. You can clench your sphincter muscle. It's a muscle used to contract the flow of urine or squeeze the last drops out. Just locks the energy in. It's the root lock in yoga. Mula Bandha, I think it's called. And you lock the energy in, and maybe you feel a sense of energy flowing up your spine from that base root lock up the spine into your middle chest, your middle back. You can put one hand on your heart to connect with your heart space there, breathing in again. Nice maximal inhale breath. Feel this energy rise up the spine into the crown of your head. Just pausing at the top of the inhale. So just scan your mind now. Do you hold your breath briefly and notice any thoughts and any emotions going on? Anything that feels limiting, that feels contracted, constricting, feels like a limitation on your power. If you're feeling fear, that's definitely a limitation of power. Worry, anxiety, frustration, anger, all of these limit your unlimited power. So remind yourself of the truth that my Father or my source gives me unlimited power, gives all power unto me as the original, but my source gives me unlimited power as alternative. So breathe in that power. Imagine it's coming into your breath, into every pore of your body, every cell, every muscle is infused with this limitless power. You feel it coming in, you feel it energizing you, you feel every cell of your body vibrating to this power. It is the very essence of life. This power gives life. This power is an eternal life-giving source of power and energy, and you can tap into it right now. So breathe it all into every cell, every muscle of your body is infused with this unlimited power. Now listen to these words, and you can repeat them aloud if you like, or just in your head as I say them. I'm say them in the alternative version. So the extension of perfect love is limitless. Breathe in that limitlessness, that total power. There are no limits on my strength, peace, joy, or any attributes my source gave in my extension. What I choose with my source and awakener must be done. Breathe in on that again. You're choosing this unlimited power right now, so invite it in. Just drop all the blocks with your breath. Exhale. Have a sense of releasing any resistance to these blocks. Blowing it out with the breeze of your breath. And resting in this holy innocent awareness. And my holy innocent awareness can never be denied because my source Source radiates in my mind, gives it all the strength and love on earth and in the state of pure formless awareness. So breathing in this limitless power, the strength, the love, feel it in your heart, feel it in your mind. Experience this. Say, I am the one to whom all this is given. I am the one to whom all this is given. Repeat those words as you exhale. I am the one in whom the power of my source's awareness lies. I am the one in whom the power of my source's awareness lives. So just surrendering to this power, breathing in again. Move the power into every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being is in this power or awareness. Say your will or your awareness in a translated version can do all things in me. And then extend to every sentient being through me as well. So your awareness can do all things in me and then extend to every sentient being through me as well. Breathing in again, say there is no limit on your awareness. You're addressing the very source of your own awareness, which is God, God within you. The I am presence that knows that you are just this awareness, that knows that all power has been given to you, your extension. So all power has been given to me, your extension. Breathe that into every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being is infused with this limitless power. Embrace it. You notice any resistance to that, just drop it with the help of your breath. Exhale out, just letting go of any blocks to this power, anything you believe in. So there's really nowhere else to go, and there's nothing else to do. There's nothing else to think about. You just breathe, relax, be still, and rest in this power. Just allow yourself to experience the limitless power of your source that this lesson talks about. If any thoughts arise, just observe your breath. So by observing the breath, you give your mind something else to focus on, distracted from getting sucked into these negative thoughts and emotions. And nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. Just breathe, relax. Deep, slow, rhythmical breath in and out through your nose. So just gently coming back into an awareness of the body and the breath, senses and the world. And on the count of three, you're going to open your eyes. So one, just breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Pause at the top of the inhale. Just observe your mind, what thoughts are going on, your body, any physical sensations going on, your energy system. And if there's anything that feels like a block there, if there's any limitation on your power, remind yourself of the lesson that my source gives me unlimited power. Not sometime in the future or the past, but right now. It's available to you right now. So breathe that power into every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being is infused with this unlimited power. So try and feel what limitless power feels like, and then that automatically drives out the powerless state, whatever that is, bit of fear, anxiety, frustration, anger, aggression, hatred, attack thoughts, jealousy, rage, sadness. All of these are manifestations, are states of mind that come from a belief that your power is limited. Belief in limits is necessary for any of those states to be in your mind. So just exhale and blow all of that away, letting go of all these very limited states. Imagine they're like dark clouds or black smoke leaving your mouth, leaving your body, your energy system, leaving your life. Once and for all, forever, you blow them away. The breeze of your breath to the nothingness they really are. They really had no substance, only this transcendent power that you hopefully connected with quite deeply over the last 15 minutes or so is real, this unlimited power of your source. So at the bottom of the exhale, on the count of two, just rest in this power for a few moments. In the gap between breaths, it's also the power of the stillness comes into awareness. Just notice that power. Connect with it. Invite it in, invite this power to guide you for the rest of the evening and the weekend ahead. So my source gives me unlimited power. Breathing in again, inhale that power into every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being. Notice the air flowing in. Feel that power energizing every cell in your body. Notice what you're smelling, perhaps, tasting, touching, feeling. Maybe your body's tingling. You can feel the energy coursing through your body. Raise that energy up your spine with the breath into your heart center. Feel a warm wave of energy rising up the spine to your heart center and on up into the crown of your head. Pausing at the top of the inhale. Smile. Scan your mind. And just noticing that unlimited power that's there. Connect with it, invite it in. Remind yourself that your source gives you unlimited power. My source gives me unlimited power, and so it is. So it is said, so it is done. Now on the count of three, open your eyes. So just look around the room and notice whatever's going on there. Look at any object just randomly selected and notice this limitless power. Your true awareness is still there, underlying whatever the sense perception is, and then you look at something else and you notice the same power. Close your eyes, notice this same power deep within you. Maybe easier to access with your eyes closed, but practice again, opening your eyes, looking around. Just give the room a scan up, down, behind you, to the side, and whatever you're looking at, notice that it really has no effect on this state of mind, on this powerful state of mind. And so you're teaching yourself that you have unlimited power irrespective of what is happening in time and space. These temporary states, temporary perceptions, the states of mind that they engender, none of this really affects this unlimited power at all. Hopefully you've had an experience of that over the last 20 odd minutes of the meditation, that you can connect with this power. You've connected with it deeply, that you can stay in this power for the rest of the afternoon and evening and on into the weekend. And to remind yourself and reconnect with this power, just practice the lesson, giving you a short 5-minute breath break to help you do that. And there's also the longer meditation. Post this meditation you're doing right now, we're just finishing to the group, as well as there was one 25-minute one this morning. So why not listen to one of those this evening? Okay, so that brings us to the end of the meditation and of today's session. So thank you, Elaine, for joining.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for the bonus.
Good
Yeah,
session.
that was very, very helpful. Just what I needed.
Yeah. What, the meditation?
Yes, well, and the session,
Hmm.
to keep
Yeah, no,
topped up.
I mean, we're all square now, I think.
Oh no, I
I've used
didn't
up my.
mean, yeah. Oh
Hmm.
yeah, no, but I meant as in for mentally. I meant well,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah,
in all
yeah,
ways.
good.
Yes,
Yeah, and always good.
yeah, yeah.
So
So
yeah, I just try to stay in that power. It's there within you. The session, the practices just activate that power. But your job is to stay connected to it at all times. You're not always going to
yeah.
manage.
Mm-hmm.
It waxes and it wanes, and sometimes you find, okay, well, the ego comes in and the power subsides. But when you notice that happening, you've just got to come straight back into it and say, okay,
Yeah,
just my source gives me unlimited power. Take a breath, release whatever that limitation is, that block, to the awareness of that power, and invite the power back.
mm.
And
Yeah.
it's actually as simple as that, and yet
Can be a
as
challenge.
difficult.
Yeah,
Yeah, because the ego is strong and it covers over that power, does everything it can possibly do to cover that power over.
it does. It does. Mm-hmm.
So
So
your job is
is
reverse that process and say, well, now I've got to do everything in my power to let go of those blocks
yeah,
and the covering over that power, and really just experience that power, which is limitless when you really experience it. I had a taste of it last night, and it was just like, oh, wow, it is just, there's nothing it can't do. And you do get a sense of that,
Oh, you do.
experientially,
Mm-hmm. Yes, no,
intellectually. I can feel that. power in me. And, that's where this is taking you, not some,
Definitely.
oh, the power of God is somewhere out there, but it's not accessible to me. It's some theoretical, intellectual concept. God can work miracles, but it doesn't happen for me. No, this is it. It's in my own experience. I feel that power right here, right now, in
Mm-hmm.
my mind, in my being, in my being, and I'm accessing it right now. And that then affects my mental state, my thoughts, my emotions, my perceptions. If I'm acting in the world, we talked about flow, then that power is the power of flow. That's what powers your flow state.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But you've got to access it and often repeatedly go back there, keep topping it
Yeah,
up,
absolutely, yes.
stay there.
Mm-hmm.
And you get used to staying in that state. So if your New Year's resolution, if there's one New Year's resolution that you and anyone can set, it's to stay in that power. That's it. That's your job. Stay
Mm-hmm.
connected to the power. Don't
Mm-hmm.
disconnect yourself from your power source. Because when you
Yeah.
do, just like you unplug a lamp from the socket, the wall socket, no electricity, no power, no light. Doesn't you can't do anything. You can't shine your light if you disconnect yourself from that source.
Mm-hmm.
But if you connect it, then you can shine your light, and that shining of the light will happen, and the power will guide that. Once you connect it to your power source, the lamp can work. It can shine. It can well, whatever. I mean, all the appliances that we've invented need power, so they can do all kinds of things. The power source can work in unlimited ways. So it's the same power that powers your lamp, that powers your fridge, that powers your electric blender, that powers your stove, and so on. Unless you've got gas, but you get the point. It's the same power source, and it can manifest in numerous ways depending on what's needed. So, in the same way as electricity powers our world, the source powers your life in all of its phases and all of its aspects and all of its manifestations and all of the requirements, all of the challenges, anything you call on to do, that power can do it for you if you just allow it
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
step out the way. So yeah,
Just keep
just
going. Mm-hmm.
keep
Yes,
practicing.
I will do that.
Yeah, keep going. Have a good weekend.
You
Stay
too.
in the power, stay in the flow of that, and I'll see you on Monday probably.
Yeah, I'll look out on
Monday.
Telegram. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Afternoon, probably afternoon work,
What day is
afternoon or
that? Is that the
evening.
6th? That's Christmas Day here. It's Christmas Day in
What?
Spain. I know we've got another one. It lasts a
Christmas
long
Day
time. Yeah.
on
Well,
the 6th.
it's the day that the children open their gifts. It's the three kings, so they celebrate on the 6th of January. So there'll be everything closed. So I'll be free then. Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely. Yeah. So it's
Okay.
yeah
Yeah. All right. Let's do a session on the day then.
the
Afternoon.
three kings day. Yes. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, I'll be
Yeah.
there.
All
Okay.
right.
Have a nice
Okay.
weekend.
Have a lovely weekend.
Bye. Namaste.
Bye. Bye. Okay, so that brings us to the conclusion of today's session, first one of the new year. If you enjoyed that, then why not subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done that. I'll be posting more of these kinds of videos as well as others. We're starting a new program quite soon, which I'll be posting more information about. So you can go to lifegoal.com if you want to take it a bit further and sign up to receive a daily Telegram messages. So I send out a daily inspirational quote and related messages. You saw some of those at the beginning of the session. That was an example. You get sort of a blog post, if you like, every day with a quote, maybe several quotes sometimes. That leads into a mind training lesson from A Course in Miracles in its original and alternative form and translated into alternative language. You also get a meditation and a shorter mini meditation or breath break to help you practice the lesson through the day. Include other resources like movies and sometimes books, give you free ebooks. Yeah, there's a lot of value in the subscription. It's free, and you can also join these live calls as well. I notify you about when the live sessions will happen on the Telegram group and give you the link to log in via Zoom. So head over to lifepool.com. You can see that spelt in the background, or just click the link below in the text box associated with this video. If you're watching the video, we'll just type in lifebuild, lifebuild.com into your browser, and you can then sign up to the Telegram group, put in your mobile number. You need to have downloaded Telegram to your mobile device, and then you'll be on the group and receive all the quotes. Yeah, so I hope you'll take the next step, and hope to connect with you on the inside of the group or one of these sessions soon. Just wishing you a very happy and abundant new year. Thanks for listening and watching, and namaste, which means the true self, the abundant self in me acknowledges and honors that same true abundant self in you. I'm wishing you much love, peace, joy, and abundance in the year ahead. Have a lovely weekend as well. Bye for now.